Hi, and welcome to Beyond the Breakthrough. I'm Rochelle Roner, your host, and I am so excited to have you here. This channel was created as a space for all of us to celebrate our achievements and successes, gain tips and tools to move beyond the breakthrough, and to be inspired to create change. So let's jump in. All right, welcome back, everybody, to Beyond the Breakthrough. We are here with an amazing lady, Ashley, who is going to share her incredible story today. Um, Before we get into kind of digging deep into that, Ashley, I would love for you to introduce yourself. I know we connected through an amazing event that you and a dear friend of mine put on together for empowering women and using holistic healing to really shine the light on yourself and your true self and all of those things. So, if you could please introduce yourself to everybody.
Yes, so my name's Ashley, and actually, the event was called Elevate Her Worth Hollow Tea. Um, and my partner is Wendy Velos. So, I definitely want to give her a shout out because she is who connected us, like that's important to acknowledge. But so me, myself, my journey, I am a nurse by trade. I have evolved into what we call a cannabis nurse for the past 5 years and have built my business and my brand around educating and informing people about cannabis medicine. Then and it's spread out. It's gotten like the net has gotten wider, and it's spread out into holistic healing. So I'm also a Reiki practitioner. I'm also somebody who supports people through psychedelic journeys. I'm also somebody who supports people through holistic life coaching, building rituals, building, all the things that we would call woo woo, and helping people find healing through those type of processes. Um, so that's the shortest version of who I
Yeah.
am.
I love it. I
Okay.
love it. It's so great. All the things. It's like
Yes.
if you need something, come to Ashley. She can help you
Yes,
with it.
please.
Yes. So this show really is all about overcoming obstacles, and we all have obstacles that we face. We have lots of them, and they don't ever stop, right? So it's kind of this idea of, you know, understanding what they are, knowing how to work through them, recognizing them when they do show up. And so the purpose of this is really to inspire people to hear your story of an obstacle that you've overcome and what that success now looks like for you. So, can you tell us about a specific time in your life when you faced a significant obstacle or a challenge?
Yeah, I can do that. So I think the one of the biggest crossroads for me was when I was still working in the hospital and I chose to quit my job. So, around 2017-ish, I found my way into corporate hospital environments, working in performance improvement and project management, working these multi-million dollar like projects to save the cost savings and all the things. And what I found during that time was that, healthcare isn't really uh, patient centered. It actually tends to be more cost savings driven. And it was my job to actually focus on that. And that just didn't align with who I am and what I am. So, very few nurses in that environment, very few women in that environment, and then very few women of color in that environment. So, there were a lot of experiences in that time that just, pushed me in the opposite direction. The culminating moment though during that time was when I was the victim of cyber theft. I had $15,000 stolen out of my bank account. It was supposed to be the down payment for our house, and so we didn't know how we were going, like what was going to happen next. I have two children; they were very young at the time, so there was a lot of concern about, where are we going to move to? We already had a buyer for the old house, like the whole thing. And then just the psychological impact of somebody being able to take that amount of money from you in a matter of moments. And then you go to the bank that it happened and they say, oh, yeah, that person withdrew it yesterday. less than 24 hours after they stole it from you, and there's no way we can find them, right? That coupled with the fact that I was also pressured to save $1.4 million on one particular project at the same time, there was something just really not adding up for me here. Like, I have this amount of money stolen from me. It doesn't match this large amount of money here. Here I am, young, trying to make a way for myself. I'm a nurse, like I take care of patients, like just wasn't working. Plus the microaggressions, plus some of the overt aggressions that were happening in corporate environments. So I ended up I'll call it a nervous breakdown for this interview. I've called it many things in many interviews. But I ended up going to therapy. And I was being told that I needed to be medicated. I did not like that. Like, when people go through experiences like that, they need to process the experience. They don't need to be medicated all the time. Like, there, obviously, it does work for some people. And I'm a nurse. I'm not going to a doctor. No, we're good. I know what's going on here. I just really didn't have the tools to be able to execute on them, and I didn't feel like medications were it. So I ended up exploring holistic healing practices. The first thing, the most common thing that people are introduced to is yoga. I incorporated that in my life. And then next up for me was understanding the endocannabinoid system, which is how cannabis came into play. And once I started like getting into that, I started seeing significant transition. Quit my job. Well, didn't quit. They asked me to leave. And it's in my book. I talk in great detail about how that transpired. But I further learned like how these things actually helped me get grounded. I started to be able to come down from my anxiety. Sleep, insomnia was still a significant issue at the time. And so as I started kind of digging around and learning more, I started to get more frustrated with the healthcare system. I was like, all right, so I've been a nurse this amount of years and I have never heard of the endocannabinoid system. Y'all have never brought up any of these holistic methods like yoga as something that could be supportive for somebody who's not necessarily ill, right? And so I decided to take a leap of faith. This was around 2018, 19-ish, where I said, I'm just going to start my business and I'm going to teach people about cannabis medicine. And everybody thought I was crazy. And they like, girl, it's illegal. And I was like, yeah, but the endocannabinoid system, and I don't care what y'all think. So, yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it sounds like this was like a process like coming from like that first kind of whatever, like aha to all the way through starting this business. Did you have like a specific moment or realization when you're like, nope, I have to make a change, something different has to happen, other than I know the cyber attack, but like was there something that triggered like this is it, I know that this is the right thing to do?
No, I was very concerned the entire time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was just like step after step, because I have always been very intuitive where like I just know something's not right. I don't know what's wrong, but I know something's not right. So I need to do something opposite of what I believe to be right to like take me in a direction that takes me away from this thing that's not right.
Yeah.
So it just was a series of decisions that has just kind of snowballed into, everything that became, I'm going to quit my job today,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
So, with all of that, what were the first steps that you took to from leaving your, W-2 type of job to starting this business?
So there was a overlap. So I was still in my W-2 and I was also like getting my business license and all, my bank account and all that together. But a lot of it in the very beginning was very, very side hustle. I have a golly, I know how to hustle, man. But it was given side hustle, and I just was like, I was at a country club, so I would have people just come, and I would teach them and educate them, and I was holding whole courses in person. This was before the pandemic. And I even got chased off of a parking lot one day because I was handing out flyers at a hospital parking lot. Because I just was trying to like let people
Yeah.
know that there's more to what nursing is than what meets the eye. And so I just was just it by any means necessary, this is what I'm
Yeah.
gonna do. And so like to the step of deciding to quit, I had a little bit of momentum already in place. When the pandemic hit, it changed things when everything went online. Originally, I just wanted to focus on my state in Maryland, and build community around in Maryland, but then I started my social media, and then I went on this like online situation. Like, it's so much stuff online. If you Google my name is ridiculous. And you can literally watch my transformation over the course of the past 7 years, because like it's just I don't know who that was then. But
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, it was like an overlap. Like it just transitioned slowly out, like almost like black and white meet, and it's this gray area. Like that's kind of how where I was moving
Yeah.
when I yeah.
And I think that's really important for a lot of women to understand is that you don't have to stop one thing to start something new. Like if you have that passion, if you have something kind of burning inside that you want to get out or you want to do or you want to live or you want to feel, start. Even if you're starting small as a side hustle or whatever that is, you don't have to it's not a black or white all or nothing. Like you can start that process whenever you feel ready to do it.
And I recommend it. Like
Yeah.
I feel like, and don't get me wrong, I realize like all of us have a million things to do all the time. And especially if you have children, if you have significant others or partners, there's always 100,000 things to do. And you don't have enough time to do any of it. So what's another 10 minutes spending on
Right.
your passion? You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
I
that's
know.
gonna make or break everything.
Yes, I love that. Okay, so how did this kind of breakthrough that you had impact like other areas of your life? Obviously, we heard about work and all of this, but you know, personally, with other people in your world or your family, like how did this kind of switch over or this overcoming this obstacle for you affect other areas of your life?
Oh, I shook the table. I mean, people just weren't. I mean, and especially because of what I'm doing and what I'm talking about, it totally goes against the mainstream narrative about what people understand. And so, by me saying cannabis is the thing that I want to talk about to people, I mean, everybody was up in arms, like, "Girl, what's going on with you? You were an A student, you were a nurse, like you have your perfect job. Like, what is going on?" So, personally, it definitely shook things up. um and for entrepreneurs, also have to recognize, and this was told to me beforehand, so it's not like it was a shocker, but you literally have to get married to your business, right? Like, so this entity, this energy of my business and my passion, now became a very significant priority in my life. And so relationship wise, like there was a lot of negotiation between my husband and I that occurred. There were some moments where I've prioritized my business over my family. And there are some moments where I've kind of that's kind of where I am now. I prioritize my family over the business. And it's that there's a process there that comes along with that journey of entrepreneurship, where you're pushing and pulling and tugging and going back and forth, and sometimes the business will pull you in a direction and you're like, I don't even want to be here,
Yeah.
right? And then of course my kids have grown up. My oldest daughter helped me write the children's book Ace's Medicine. She actually is she was I think she was like maybe 11 at the time, and she does the narration for the trailer for Ace's
Oh,
Medicine. Yeah. So they've also gotten to see me grow in this space of entrepreneurship, and not just going to this 9 to 5. I also have a lot of flexibility though. I can choose if I'm going to work at 3 o'clock in the morning or if I'm going to work at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I remember moments where I said I hadn't seen my kid walk to the bus because I worked 12-hour shifts at some point. And, and to be able to walk her to the bus when she was at certain ages have been significantly transformative. So, there's a lot of good, bad, and ugly as far as like personal dynamics are concerned. I will say this though, I have learned so much about myself and what I believe about what I want for myself. So, when I started all of this, it was just, no, it's not right. The world is wrong. And it's like, no, the world still is always going to be wrong despite what I'm doing. So how can I contribute to the world in a way that makes me feel good and makes me feel aligned? Has been something that I have been working on and finding balance in, so that way the impact for everybody feels good. And so, and it takes a little bit of time to get to that place, because there's momentum that needs to be built. And so my life before entrepreneurship and my life after entrepreneurship look nothing alike. And I suspect that in the next 5 years or so, I see more transformation occurring, as I become a more mature adult human woman and a more mature entrepreneur.
It's got the chills when you said that. I feel all of that in my bones. I feel it
Yeah.
all. Okay, so, and this is such a big kind of component of this, setbacks, doubts. What came up for you throughout this process and how did you navigate them?
Setbacks and doubts. Just kept going, just keep doing, finish what you start kind of thing. um, Bring things to full circle, because the doubts are always going to be there, and they're always going to nag at you. And we all come with preconceived or pre-programming that tell us what we can and can't do. And a lot of times, especially if you're a first generation entrepreneur, you weren't groomed to know what those setbacks may look like. They're new. So when they have shown up, and I can't even think of one particular because I feel like the entire time has been a setback and a doubt. You know what I mean? Like it's always a setback and a doubt somewhere showing up and rearing its ugly head. And most of the time it resulted in a lot of ugly tears, and a lot of come to Jesus moments where, I'm like, no, I am good enough to do this thing that I want to do. Yes, I do have the ability to do this thing that I want to do. No, I may not have the tools, but I know the tools will show up, if I move, with with authenticity, right? So, at the end of the day, like people be like, oh, it's hard. Everything's hard. There is no
Yeah,
easy button. Um, and if we can just embrace the hard and recognize that the easy's on the other side, and then embrace the hard that comes after you hit the easy, like just be okay. It's all a process. It's all part of the journey.
yeah,
Um, and I don't know anywhere in life, anything that anybody has done. I just spent the weekend with my parents, and they spent a lot of time reflecting on the years of, when they were struggling and trying to figure out. My dad was Air Force, and they live in a beautiful house by the beach, and all the things. And everybody wants to look at them and say, oh my God, your life is perfect. But they have had their fair share of struggles and lessons learned and continue to do so, even at the age of almost 70.
yeah, yeah. Okay, awesome. And then so when you think about um like the idea of like not overcoming a specific setback or a specific, failure, perceived failure, as you were saying, or what you've kind of come in with how you expected it to be. What do you think was like the most important factor in achieving the breakthrough of actually going from your 9 to 5 to having this successful business of your own, becoming an entrepreneur, sticking with it and building it to what it is today?
Being honest with myself. So in the spiritual world, we talk a lot about like shadow work and uncovering your shadows. The front facing part of us wants things to be perfect. We want to present perfectly for people to see and admire, but there's this ugly side of everything or ugly side of everything that doesn't look so perfect. And so we have to be honest about those things.
Yeah.
um we have to be honest about the fact that we just don't know certain things. We have to be honest about the the childhood that we were given, the things that we've done wrong in life, the maybe the lies that we made, the things that we've stolen, the people that we've wronged, right? We have to be honest about those things. And the more honest we get about it, the clearer we can see. And then once we're more clear about what we can see, the further we can go into the future, and then our vision becomes more clear. And so I think the biggest thing is just being honest about where you are. Do I have the money to do this? Do I have the information to do this? Do I have the insight to do this? Do I have the mentorship to do this? Right? Like having all those things um, will be supportive, but being honest about the fact that maybe I don't have those things to move in a intentional fashion will make things just a little bit easier.
Yeah. And that's so important, being honest with yourself, um, to be able to shape the way you're going. But if you could offer one piece of advice to someone else who
Mhm.
was facing a similar obstacle, what would you say to them?
Um, I'm stuck on the honesty. Like, where are you right now? Let's take inventory.
Yeah.
Those are things that I do with my clients all the time. Like, because it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to take inventory, right? Like, it's hard
Yeah.
for us to even see what we don't have or see what we don't know or know what we don't know. So like sitting down and itemizing, where's my time going? Itemizing, where's my money going? Itemizing or writing down, oh gosh, working with entrepreneurs. Because I did business development coaching for a little while and I said, no, I don't like it here. Um, But to ask an entrepreneur what their mission and vision is, usually the response is, "Oh yeah, I did a business plan about a year ago, and I ain't seen it in about a year." And I'm like, "Okay,
Mhm.
but you should still embody that mission and vision, and or let's work on updating it so that way we're clear about where you're going." Because and especially as a coach, I can't help you get to where you're going if you don't know where you're going.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Okay. And I know you've shared a lot. And thank you. I mean, this is to hear this kind of a story with this detail and this so much, personal kind of aspects to it is so relatable, because even if the specifics aren't the same, it's like, oh, like, yes, this is what's missing. Or, okay, this is what I've been trying to kind of put in my brain into words. And she just did that for me. So thank you. And I know this is a big part, and you've touched on this a couple times, but the last thing I really would love for you to share with everybody, and I know this is different for everyone, what role did self-care and wellness play in helping you overcome these obstacles?
Oh, that's probably been the best part of this journey. So the entrepreneur part is like one thing with a journey in and of itself, but I have found that the self-care part has driven the entire entrepreneur aspect of things. So I mentioned I've done business development. I don't like it there. And part of the reason for me not doing that no more is because most of my business development clients actually needed personal life coaching support, and it's because of all the self-doubt. It's because we don't spend, first of all, we don't even know what self-care means. If you ask most people what self-care means, they say I go get pedicures.
Hmm.
I go get my hair done. And it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, that's fine to get your hair done, but there's so much that makes up you. So
Yep.
are you hydrated? When's the last time you seen the sun? Have you exercised lately? Have
Hmm.
you what joints have you not moved recently? You know what I mean? Like there's just so much that goes into self-care. And so first off, like understanding who you are at its core level is significant. Most people don't know who they are. They say, oh, they look at me, oh, you're a black woman. No, that's not who I am. At a soul level, that's not who I am. I come into this body, and I'm responsible for taking care of this body. And part of that requires me to be aware of what it takes to take care of it. So sleep, um, obviously cleanliness is a part of it. Definitely get your hair done if you want to, if it makes you look good and feel good. Put on some makeup every once in a while if that makes you look good and feel good. Drink some water. IV hydration is a thing that's accessible to people. You don't just have to go into the hospital and get that. If you smoke weed, I'm sorry, YouTube might not like that I said that, but if you smoke it unapologetically, right? If you consume it and you want to do it more discreetly, I got solutions. I'll help you out with that. But there's just so much that goes into, and then, and the biggest part that people have been disconnected from is their spiritual journey.
Mm.
Where are you spiritually? And I'm not talking religion, right?
Hmm.
You can be whatever religious, affiliation that you want to be. I don't have conversations about people's religion. I have conversations with people about where they are spiritually and how to expand themselves and how to ascend themselves and how to grow.
Yeah.
And so, in all of those things, spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional well-being needs to be cared for. And most people don't even know what their physical body it takes to manage their physical body because they're not taught it. We're not taught anatomy and physiology on a regular day. Like people don't really understand how their heart works, how their lungs work, how blood moves and circulates throughout the body, right? And in order for you to be able to live a long life, to have the energy and the capacity to build a business, you have to be able to nurture yourself.
Function. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yes, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. I um I love that you just talked about that because I had a conversation with somebody not too long ago about this rest and the self-care. And I said to him, I said, rest is not the absence of work, right? Because he
Yes.
was like, I just don't have any time to sit down on the sofa, right? And I'm like, rest does not mean just simply the absence of work. Like you have to find what that means for you and what's going to make you recharge and you take care of you so that you can be the best you when you go back to work, or else
Yeah.
there was no rest, right? So it's really about finding. I love that you said that because you're right. It's very societal focused, and this is, self-care. Oh, just go get a massage. You'll feel
Yeah.
better. Well,
Yeah.
sure, for like an hour.
Right.
My problems are still there at the end of the
Yeah.
day, so
And you know what? And everybody is very different. Like everybody's very unique in how they can recharge. So I'm a Pisces naturally. So like water is very deeply precious for my self-care and recharging. Outside time, like getting grounded with the earth. I had a conversation with a young woman. I love the water. She loves the mountains, right? That's where she's able to regenerate and recharge. And so, all those things that the massage is good, but then there's the aftercare. It's the and this is a term we use in the spiritual community too, like integration. How do you integrate what you did for the self-care into and embody that on your day to day? And so those are things that I help people support. I support people in helping them identify those things that are specific. And so part of that exploration is understanding your human design. Part of that exploration is understanding your astrology. Part of that is understanding, how you were born, exploring what things you were good at as a child, because a lot of it has been erased because society does that to us. Mhm.
yes, yes, ma'am, it sure does. It sure does. Awesome. Is there anything else about your journey, about your breakthrough and this amazing success of overcoming? Oh my gosh, like you didn't even realize you needed, and now look at you and just incredible, incredible person that you would like to share with anybody
I
listening or
think
watching?
I think the other thing is networks. I think we disregard the power of our networks, our inner circles. Sometimes even if you don't go to networking events, because we put a lot of stake in the concept of a networking experience. But day to day, you go to the market, like you go to the movies. I mean, you meet people everywhere you go,
Right.
right? And you find over time that there are people rooting for you and cheering for you, but you just don't know how to tap into your network.
Yeah.
Um, and so being able to be present for your people and show up for your people, and give and receive from your people. I mean, golly, and I can go down a whole monologue about giving and receiving, but being able to give and receive, from your network and cultivate it and grow it and nurture as an entrepreneur, I think is hugely significant, and something that goes, it's like that surface level situation. Like people feel like they go to the network event and then collect the business card and they've
And
networked.
then what? Yeah.
And then what? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and the reality is, if you collect 100 business cards, you ain't connected with 100 people. You're just not.
Yeah.
So, like, how can we build meaningful and sustainable and, beautiful relationships with people that you can ask for help when you need help in a way that won't be judged? How can you, like just be amongst people that are of like minds, that validates your experience, right? Like, for me personally, I don't have a lot of entrepreneurs around me. I don't have a lot of holistic people who embrace holistic healing, in a way that feels good to them. So I can't go to those people for validation, but I can go to a lot of other people that I've met in my journey and on my path, that invigorate me, inspire me, and all those kind of things. And if your world does not come with words like inspiration and expansion and growth and development, then you need to reevaluate where you're networking.
Yeah. No, that's so true. And, I met Wendy through a networking organization, so to speak, a business organization, who then introduced me to you and some of your people who I made some great connections with, by the way, at the event. And I don't know anyone that does quite what you do, really, in all of the aspects of all the things that you do. So to be able to have that available to my network and for people to see this and know that they can come to you for these things, you're right. Like you have to build those connections. I mean, business cards, great, but who are, like you said it, who are your people? And I really think that we are here to serve and receive from our people. And that's what's going to enhance and enlighten your life, really, and make you smile every day when you wake up, right?
Yeah. Because it's
So
supposed to be fun. Life is supposed to
it
be
is
fun.
so fun.
Yes.
It's
I
so
mean,
fun.
golly.
It can be,
When,
yes, yes.
when I realized life was supposed to be fun, I said, oh,
Me too. I
I
didn't
said,
realize how
okay.
unfun it was or how not fun it was and I'm like, no way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure, for
yeah.
sure.
So,
Life can
well,
be hard, but equally fun, for sure.
absolutely. Absolutely. It doesn't come without a cost in some capacity, but the cost is worth it. The
Yeah.
cost is so worth it. So, but thank you so much for being here. And if and when people are interested in connecting with you, how can they do that? And we'll also put it in the show notes, but how can they find you?
So you can email me, cannabisnursingsolutions@gmail.com. If they want to reach out to me directly, if you want to kind of stay under the radar and just follow me on Instagram, you can. You can find me at Your Canna Bliss Nurse. So YOURCANNABLISS Nurse, NURSE.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm very active. I post just about daily, anything holistic healing, entrepreneurship, women empowerment, like all those things. That's what comes across on my feed. And I have community, I have education and training, I do holistic life coaching support, and yeah, all the things you may need to support your spiritual and development.
Yeah. I would definitely, and those of you who know me, Ashley and I follow each other, so you can find her through my page too, but I would highly encourage you to follow her. There's other life coaches and wellness coaches, and we all, I mean, you find the people you want to follow because that's the energy you want to bring in to your world. So, but thank you again so much for being here with us today and sharing your story. And I'm excited for you. I'm so happy for you that you've found this journey and overcome, sounds like quite a few obstacles in your path and landed in a place where you're feeling contentment, right?
Yeah.
You're happy. You're not settling. We're
No,
not doing that. There's a difference between contentment and settling, right? Complacency, totally different. But I'm really happy for you that you've found this space and that you are continuing to grow and evolve.
thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
All right, guys.